And one question I've been asked repeatedly by Christians over the years is this: is Vladimir Putin Gog? Is he the evil dictator prophesied in Ezekiel 38 and 39 who forms an alliance with Iran, Turkey, and other countries in the last days to invade Israel? Interest in these biblical prophecies has surged this year. Putin is threatening to go nuclear in Ukraine. Biden isn't taking it seriously enough, but Putin is dead serious. As I wrote in Enemies and Allies, Putin sees himself as both czar and godfather. And as I warned in March on All Israel News, not since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 has the world been this close to nuclear war. Back in March, it was clear that Putin was already losing in Ukraine. And 6 months later, he's been humiliated there. Desperate, he's mobilizing 300,000 reservists. But if he cannot win conventionally, Putin just may resort to the nuclear option. That's why he's so dangerous. He doesn't simply have a deadly military machine, he's willing to use it. And make no mistake, Ukraine isn't the end of Putin's murderous ambitions. And one question I've been asked repeatedly by Christians over the years is this: is Vladimir Putin Gog? Is he the evil dictator prophesied in Ezekiel 38 and 39 who forms an alliance with Iran, Turkey, and other countries in the last days to invade Israel? Interest in these biblical prophecies has surged this year. One reason is this photo. That's Putin on the left, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi in the middle, Turkish President Recep Erdogan on the right. They met in July in Tehran, vowing to continue their military operations in Syria, just north of Israel. Another reason, this photo. Though severely ill, Iran's supreme leader has made time for his most important ally, who's helping to build Tehran's nuclear program and selling them advanced weapons. Another reason, this photo. Last month, Putin again met with Iran's president. Why? Quote, Russia and Iran are finalizing a new major treaty that will elevate bilateral relations to the level of a strategic partnership, Putin said. Now, does this mean that the war of Gog and Magog is imminent? No. Yet never in the 2,600 years since Ezekiel prophesied have we seen Russia and Iran forming such an alliance. Does this really mean that Putin is Gog? Look, it's too early to draw conclusions, but it is fair to say that Putin is Gog-esque. Maybe he doesn't make it to his 71st birthday. Maybe he's defeated in Ukraine and overthrown in Moscow. But if Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin turns the tables and wins in Ukraine, fear over who he'll target next will certainly mount. He remains on his murderous rampage. He's illegally annexed 4 regions of Ukraine. He's threatening to use all means available to him, including nuclear weapons, to protect Mother Russia. Putin declared, quote, I want to remind you in the West that our country also has various means of destruction. And when the territorial integrity of our country is threatened, to protect Russia and our people, we will certainly use all the means at our disposal. This is not a bluff, he said. Now, Putin's blasting the West as satanic. That's right. Quote, they want to see us as a colony, Putin insisted. They want to rob us. They want to see us not as a free society, but a crowd of soulless slaves. And then he added, the West's suppression of freedom itself has taken on the features of a religion, outright Satanism, unquote. Now, why exactly is the murderer of Moscow, a man slaughtering people in Ukraine, slaughtering innocents, why is he accusing the West of Satanism? Is it simply to justify his illegal war? Or is it to justify the actual use of nuclear weapons in Europe for the first time in human history? Meanwhile, President Biden told a Democratic fundraiser in Manhattan that Putin's driving the world towards the book of Revelation. Quote, "We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis." Armageddon? Had Biden just misspoken? Or did the President of the United States really mean to invoke the biblical end of days? The term Armageddon, after all, comes from Revelation chapter 16, describing a global satanic war, a war of genocide against all Jews and against followers of Jesus in the last days of history, just before the second coming. The war will reach its cataclysmic conclusion right here in Israel, at the site known in Hebrew as Har Megiddo, the mountain of Megiddo, and in English as Armageddon. But Biden did not misspeak. In fact, he immediately doubled down. Quote, "For the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis, we have a direct threat of the use of a nuclear weapon, if in fact things continue down the path that they're going. We're trying to figure out, what is Putin's off-ramp? Where does he find a way out? Where does he find himself where he does not only lose face, but significant power?" And then Biden concluded, "I don't think there's any such thing as the ability to easily use a tactical nuclear weapon and not end up with Armageddon." Over the weekend, Ukrainian President Zelensky told the BBC that he agrees. "I agree," he said, "that this is Armageddon. It's a risk for the entire planet." Can you remember another time since the Cuban Missile Crisis when world leaders were openly talking about the risk of events spinning so far out of control that they would lead to the end of the world?